Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. We're going to take a look at an unboxing of the Analog Alien rumble seat. Just got this in the mail today. Open up the box and this is what I found inside. It seems to be a nice cool orange package. It's like a lunch little tote bag, so to speak. Some paperwork on the front. Let's take a look at some of that paperwork. Matching color directions and description. Analog Alien rumble seat. Let's get ready to rumble. The Analog Alien rumble seat is an effects pedal with 3 separate effects pedals. The first one is the rumble drive. Quick description, it says the rumble drive simulates a vintage Marshall 69 plexi amp. It's got 3 controls for that section: the output, the tone, and the gain. Furthermore, the second effect on this pedal is the delay. You've got a delay control, big description here, a repeats control, let's flip this over to the back, and a mix control. That's all in the delay section itself. There is a reverb section as well. The reverb section has a single control, and it kind of simulates the Fender Blackface amp and the spring reverbs that were on those amps. And there's a big description here. Got warranty information, AC adapter, and a return policy. Okay, lots to read there. We'll save that for when you get yours. You can read that packet. All right, let's see what else is inside the pouch here. Sound different, Analog Alien. I think this is a brand new sticker that came out this year. This is their new logo, and it shows some of the other line of the pedals in skeleton form over here. Okay, sticker for you. And there seems to be another sticker. This is their traditional sticker that fits very nicely on pedal boards. Perhaps a bumper sticker if you like, but I do know that these fit nicely on the pedal board if you like to advertise the type of pedal that you're using. When asked about my sound, I normally refer to this sticker, and then folks say, oh, okay, I can go to the website, analogalien.com, for more information. And the latest brochure, the 2019 brochure. This is the EPI pedal. We'll talk more about that in another session. Let's just go through the brochure for a little bit. All right, there's that EPI. They created the EPI in conjunction with Fix Audio. A lot of information on that. The Fuzz Bubble 45, great pedal as well. The Analog Alien Power Pack. Can't have enough of those. That's a clean boost, by the way. The Joe Walsh Double Classic, signature Joe Walsh pedal. It's got great color on that. The Alien Comp. Interesting about the Alien Comp, it's actually the same circuit that appears in the compressor section of the Joe Walsh. So if you own one of these, you have essentially the same pedal. This is a breakout of that pedal. Affiliated artists. Some Chapman stick players. Some of my friends. Some more of my friends. The rumble seat. This is what we're going to unbox today. I'm going to take a look at the rumble seat. Again, we talked about the 3 separate effects. We'll take a look at that more in detail. The Alien Twister. Excellent overdrive. If you have a Stratocaster, that's the pedal you want to get if you're looking for some interesting tones. The bucket seat, much like on the Joe Walsh pedal versus the Alien Comp, where the Alien Comp was derived from the compressor section of the Joe Walsh, the bucket seat is derived from the overdrive section right here of the rumble seat. Essentially without the delay and reverb. So if you have your own favorite delays and reverbs, you can get that same circuit. Alien Bass Station, another monster of a pedal. 3 effects in one. Great for low end, very punchy. Packages, yes. Some of these pedals do come in very unique packages. Joe Walsh's similar type lunch tote, the Fuzz Bubble 45, comes with bubble soap. And I know that the Alien Twister comes with their own brand of Analog Alien hot sauce. We'll taste those one day. And they have some wearables, some hats and shirts, long sleeves, short sleeves. Okay, great. Okay, now let's open up the tote here that carries all of the good stuff here. Velcro. Yeah, it seems to have some silver lining for temperature control if you do end up using this as a lunch tote. Okay, first things first, looks like we have a power supply. Its own, oh, it's the One Spot from True Tone. Excellent, excellent power supply. I've used these power supplies for many years. Let's just take a look at this power supply a little bit. You probably already own one. They're very common on the market. You can buy these separately, but this power supply comes standard with the rumble seat. Let's see if the directions comes in. Here we go. One Spot safety directions. Okay, so we get some official directions from the True Tone company. All right. Let's see some ratings here. Okay, they give you minimum load, max load, 1.7 amps. That is a tremendous amount of amperage that you can pull from this particular AC adapter. It is a 9-volt DC, much like standard adapters are. I don't know if you can make it out here. It says the output 1700 milliamps or 1.7 amps. Now 1700 milliamps is a lot. For those of you familiar with what most pedals run, you'll be lucky to find a pedal that runs up to 300 milliamps. So I've powered full pedal boards up to 8 pedals with this One Spot alone. Because if you total up all the milliamps from each individual pedal, which you can find in either the directions or online somewhere, and if you do not exceed the milliamp rating here, then your power supply would be able to power all of them. You can daisy chain the power supply with breakout wires. This power supply does the job really well, and I've used it to power an entire board of pedals before, but it's so fantastic that it comes with this particular pedal in and of itself. Great. Another power supply, perfect. Okay, what else can we find? All right, looks like we have a box within this bag. All right, here's our box, the rumble seat. And there we go. Okay, so again, if you haven't noticed, little foil inside there. This will give you some temperature control if you're looking to bring some cool drinks with you on the gig. Let's check out this box here. Yeah, serial number. Okay, great. I've noticed on the top here, there's a little punch through on the box. I know what that is. This particular pedal has a mod. I had asked the fine gentleman at Analog Alien to do a factory direct mod for me. The mod, I will talk about it in a moment, but obviously the mod is, this is the switch that's breaking through the box, because normally these rumble seats go straight to their retailers without the mod. So if you're interested in the mod that I'm going to talk about a little bit today, you need to contact Analog Alien, specifically Jack Napoli and or Joe Napoli. They're the founders and they do work on these pedals themselves. Okay, let's open up the box here. Yeah, that's a tight fit. That's a good sign. All right, reveal it. Yes. Look at the color. Perfectly matches the bag, right? Got your metallic flake in there. Excellent. All right, and we've got some, it's kind of wedged in here. As the switch was added, let's just grab that, and we are safely out of the box. I'm just going to use this box here so we can kind of mount the pedal up, prop it up so we can see here. Yeah, so you got your 3 effects. Fit very nicely on a pedal board. Believe it or not, it's not like you're buying a huge pedal here. You're actually buying 3 in 1. So when you use it on your pedal board, you have a space saver here. 1 pedal running off one power supply, 9-volt DC. It's going to power all 3 pedals within this one pedal. Okay, so let's take a look. Here we go. We've got our switches, our bypass switches, one for the drive, one for the delay, and one for the reverb. Okay, again, we spoke about the reverb with a single knob. It does get really deep reverb knob all the way to the right. You have a tremendous amount of reverb. Here you have your output, tone, and gain as described in the manual. Right? This will give you overall output from the drive itself. Tone, if you turn it to the left, you will get more of a bassy tone. Right up in the center will give you whatever tone your instrument is putting out. And then all the way to the right, you can get more highs while doing kind of like a high pass. So all the way to the left, you have like a low pass filter. Up in the center, you kind of have a nice balance of lows and highs. Your mids are very present. And to the right, you have like a high pass filter, which cut some of the lows out. Your gain, you can go from 0 gain, raise up the output, you get a nice clean sound out of the rumble drive. And the second you start bringing up the gain, you're gonna get your clipping and you're gonna get as dirty of a sound as you'd like. I prefer it in the 75% to 100 range for my stick work here. The delays, you have 3 knobs here. Obviously the mix is going to mix how much of this effect, the delay effect, will be present with your normal clean sound and or overdrive sound, because the order of effects are your instrument's going to hit the rumble drive first, the delay, and then of course output to the reverb. Now, I did talk about the fact that this is a modded pedal. Now, before we get into that mod, normally there are 2 jacks on the top. If you notice over here, we're dealing with more than 2 jacks, and we have an added switch. These 2 jacks do not normally come on the rumble seat. These 2 jacks are added with this switch for the modification I'm going to talk about in a moment. So let's just talk about what the backside normally looks like. I have a picture up from their website on my iPad here. All right, this is the same back view. Okay, if you notice, there is a difference. All right, the picture shows the absence of a switch and 2 additional jacks. So the modification will basically add these 3 items here. What's the point of that modification? We'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so assuming the modification wasn't there, if I turn this back around, you have 2 arrows. And those arrows indicate direction of signal path into and out of the pedal. So if you can notice over here, you have an in arrow. That is your overall input into the pedal. And an out arrow. This is your overall output from the pedal. So what does that mean? That means you would plug your instrument here and then consecutively running through the effects, going with the rumble drive, the delay, and then to the reverb, and then ultimately out here to either another set of effects and or your amplifier. Okay. Now, they started doing these modifications a little bit over a year ago, and what they ended up doing was offering the ability to separate your time-based effects, meaning your delay and reverb, from this area here, these orange knobs, or the rumble drive. So basically what you can do is, with a flick of a switch, you can have your operation as normal, meaning that you're bypassing these 2 jacks. I'll talk about what those are. And you have normal operation where this is input and this is output. Just bring back that picture from the iPad, right? This would be your input, this would be your output. Then with the flick of a switch, if you were interested, here's the flick of the switch. I'm now engaging these 2 jacks. So what does that do? Well, those 2 jacks are actually an insert point, and they're an insert point in between the rumble drive and the time-based effects, which now means that when I'm engaging this switch, I'm activating these two jacks over here. Once again, engaging the switch, activating these two jacks. So if my instrument is coming in this particular input, it will run through the rumble drive and come straight out of the output without dealing with the delay and reverb. So it's like, remember in the brochure when we talked about, let's go back to the brochure a second. We talked about when they did the breakout of the overdrive section of the rumble seat and called it the bucket seat. Essentially what you're doing is you're creating a bucket seat with that switch, okay? You're just taking the input and output of this overall 3 effects based pedal and turning it into one effect, which is going to be the bucket seat. So now you essentially have a bucket seat at this input and output. This input and output, you just have the bucket seat when the switch is engaged. But that does not mean that the delay and reverb aren't functioning. So now you have another input, which will now go directly straight into the delay, which bypasses the rumble drive. And that followed by the reverb, so the delay goes into the reverb as its own circuit, and those get outputted here. So if you're asking yourself, well, what's the point of this? Why don't I just want my overdrive going into the delay and into the reverb? Well, you can just have that with the flick of a switch. If you have this mod, you'll have the original rumble seat unmodified. But for those of you who like to do different paths of signals, in other words, if you wanted to run the delay and reverb through an effects loop on your amplifier, you can do so without running the overdrive through your effects loop and put the overdrive on the front end of your amplifier. So here's a scenario. You hit the switch. I now separate the rumble drive, which is now a bucket seat on its own, from the delay and reverb as a separate unit. So I will bring my instrument in here, output it from here. Now I just have these 3 knobs functioning as my rumble drive, and I'm going to input this into the front end of my amplifier, right, where your preamp is. So I can kind of overdrive or control a tone or an overall volume before I go into my preamp of my amplifier without bringing delay or reverb into the preamp of the amplifier. And so now I have full whatever my amplifier offers, maybe its own set of drive, maybe its own set of filters, mid-ranges and basses and trebles, or whatever else the amplifier offers. So if your amplifier has an effects loop, now what you can do is take the effects loop and run them through the delay and the reverb aside from what the overdrive was doing, and run in out of your effects loop into the input of your delay, which automatically inside internally runs to the circuit of the reverb, and then outputs here, and you're going to return this to the effects loop. So you have basically 2 separate pedals when you hit this switch. Right now, if the switch is in normal position, you have 1 pedal, meaning you have your 3 effects, but it's going to be running internally from the drive to the delay to the reverb and then outputting. I hit the switch now, I have physically separated with this modification and created 2 pedals. A bucket seat, which has its own input and output independently of the delay into the reverb as a unit, which has its own input and output. There are other ways to use, and I've come up with another way myself for only because I needed this for what I do, of using this input. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a demonstration on my pedal board. So I don't know if you can think of anything that's better than a modified rumble seat. I can only think of one thing that's better than a modified rumble seat, and that is having 2 modified rumble seats. About a year ago, I had asked the good folks at Analog Alien to modify my rumble seat. This is my original rumble seat, and I had sent it to them, and they had performed this modification on this particular unit. And if you notice, I'm running the switch in the position where we have a breakout of the rumble drive. Let's just put this more in camera view. The rumble drive from the delay and reverb circuit. These are some other analog alien pedals. I don't want to necessarily talk about the signal chain of how these are working in today's video, but rest assured that the way this is functioning is not through an effects loop per se on my amplifier, because this pedal board is self-contained. I play an instrument called the Chapman stick, and the Chapman stick has two outputs, one for the melody side and bass side simultaneously. So what I look to do is I input the bass side through here, through this EPI as a return, and I input the melody side over here into first the rumble drive, and that rumble drive comes out and then comes into the return of this other input return, and that gets summed. So I'm basically I'm summing my bass with my melody side that gets an overdrive only. And then what comes on the output section of this analog alien EPI, which we'll talk about another time, gets fed back into the delay and reverb circuit. So now I can now put delay and reverb on my entire summed mixed sound that was mixing from the EPI, and then that sound will go to another EPI, which I do a breakout that I can send to either for example, a speaker cabinet simulator, which I run headphones off of, or direct to a mixing board. I also have other outputs like these sends over here, which I can send to other amplifiers on stage, but that's a discussion for another topic and day. Right now, I'm just kind of giving you another idea how this pedal with its mod is not being used in an effects loop on an amplifier, but it's being used as its own loop per se on a pedal board. Okay, so those are my two analog alien modified rumble seats, and we'll get a little chance to play with this later on. I haven't yet plugged it in. I just literally unboxed it while talking to you guys about it. But reason why I have two of these is I wanted a second one to take for another pedal board. I'm setting up another pedal board, not necessarily as a backup pedal board, but another pedal board with different effects. So I have mini pedal board, if you will, with this set of effects, and then another pedal board I'm going to be setting up soon. I have some ideas, and I didn't want to actually break apart this pedal board every time I want to use this other pedal board. It's going to involve another set of effects, which I haven't decided on yet, but I wanted another one of these modified rumble seats because I love the drive on this. It's excellent for Chapman stick. It's excellent for guitar as well, but I'm doing a lot of work with Chapman stick these days. The delay and reverb are so easily controlled. We're not talking about any digital screens or programming as you do in a lot of other pedals. You have these controls right here, and you can mix very quickly and get the reverb you like immediately, and also, you know, bypass the delay and or reverb rather quickly. I want to take a solo. I want to do a little background overdrives. The Rumble's drive does a great job on that, and we'll do some sound samples another time. Some things I do solo wise and some things I do in a band setting. But for now, if you're interested in getting this modification, if you already own a rumble seat, I would recommend emailing Jack Napoli at analogalien.com, having a discussion. You're going to really have to have a need for this. Not everybody has a desire to break out the delay and reverb. So if not, it's a wonderful pedal. If that's working for you, that's fantastic. But if you do definitely give them a call or leave them an email. They are doing and performing this mod. You'll have to send your pedal to them. They'll perform the mod and get that pedal back to you. But have a discussion with them. They're probably going to ask, what are your needs regarding that, and why would you need that in the first place? Again, I gave you two ideas for that right now. I love this pedal, and I couldn't imagine myself playing without this unit live. So having a second one on hand is just going to make my world that much better. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope that you got a better idea of what the modification is. We'll do some sound samples another time, and take care. See you later. Oh, look at that. I found another sticker. How cool is that?